In his mind, he was telling a lie for a good reason. I'm going to lie to these people. I see their greed. I see what they want. So I'm going to pseudo give them what they want to get me what I want. But I'm not going to tell them the whole reason. Hello, Governor. Shrekai Steed here, new from the Ville. Here to talk about Doctor Who Season 10, Episode 9, Empress of Mars. But let me tell you a little story first. You know, I was watching a show here recently, and long story short, there was a man in the group that they were in a situation, and he was telling the rest of the group that he wanted to damage, harm a child. Now the rest of the group was ready to agree with him because harming that child meant more money for them in this contest that they were in. But the man was lying because secretly no one knew that the child belonged to him, and he wanted to protect the child. And so he deceived the little ragtag group of friends that he had made up until the end, when it was down to him, one other person, and this child. Now the way it is now, all three would have to split the money. But something snapped in that man, and he no longer became concerned about caring for the child or protecting the child, even though it was his own seed. The money became more enticing. And so where he had lied and deceived to those men that he was on their team to harm the child, just to pull the wool over their eyes and get rid of them. But when it was down to him and the other man who was currently protecting the child, he had told him he wanted to protect the child, but at the end, he didn't. Why? Why would he lie? Why would his lie be wrapped in a truth? Or his truth be wrapped in a lie? Let's talk about it. Hello, Governor. It's Shrekai Steed, new from the Ville, and we're here to talk about Doctor Who Season 10, Episode 9, Empress of Mars. Now, you've been rocking with me for a little while, that you know I'm going to try to keep this recap short and sweet so we can get on to the quotes and to the good stuff. Somehow, the Doctor, Bill, Nardole, ended up at NASA or something like that. And they had a probe on Mars. The ice caps had melted on Mars, and lo and behold, underneath the ice caps, written out in words in huge rocks, were the words, "God save the Queen." So the Doctor, Bill, and Nardole got in TARDIS, and it took them to Mars. But it took them to Mars in 1881. And as they're exploring the caverns underneath the surface, Nardole goes back to the TARDIS, and for some strange reason, the TARDIS takes off. It travels. Now, because of the message, the Doctor and Bill had figured out that there were humans on Mars, and they were underneath the surface. And these soldiers from Britain were on patrol in Africa when an ice warrior, who we met a couple seasons ago, his ship crashed in Africa. But something happened to the ship with the technology, and it transported everyone back to Mars. Now the ice warrior, even though he's a warrior, he was hurt, he was damaged, and he was outnumbered. And we're talking about 1881, so the British are still well into colonizing everything that they can. So they have taken control of this ice warrior and called him Friday, our good man Friday. And he told them that he would help them with technology. He had a stash of jewels, gold, precious valuables beyond anything like they'd seen on Earth if they just helped him get back to his planet. And they kind of repaired his ship to help him go back. What Friday didn't tell them is that he took them to the lair of the Empress of Mars, and where all of the soldiers like himself and the Empress had been dormant. They had been kind of in a suspended animation. And his whole purpose was to use the device that he had hooked up for them, kind of a laser drill, to drill through to the entrance to her chamber and to release her, to awake her. So, you know, the Ice Warrior is about that action, and they was ready to conquer the rest of the universe. Now we're a little bit timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, and the Doctor had already met an Ice Warrior during the Cold War after Vietnam. So he was familiar with the Ice Warriors, but because this is actually kind of a prequel to that episode, because it's 1881, so nearly 100 years before that. The Empress Araxa, she wakes up. She's immediately about that action. The Doctor begs for mercy, humility, work with the humans, because it's been 5,000 years that they've been asleep. But one of the little dudes, he's scary, and he lets off a shot, and it grazes off the Empress's helmet, and she does what anybody would be like, you know what? Kill everybody. Now, meanwhile, the TARDIS went back to Earth. Nardo had no idea how to get it back. He kept trying to go back, but it wouldn't. So he had to go talk to Missy, who's down the vault. He had to strike a deal with her to get her to help him. The soldier that fired at Araxa used her powers, her weapon, and disintegrated dude on the spot. So the clown dude who's in second in command, named Catchlove, he decides he's going to take over, because the guy who's in command, Godzaker, he said, you're not fit to do this, you weak. And he took over, and he threw Bill, the Doctor, and Godzaker in the makeshift brig jail that they had down there. Now Friday came around and said, you know what? All I've been doing is fighting all these years. I'm tired. You seem like you got some sense. I'm going to help you. The Doctor gets control of the weapon. He's like, listen, if y'all don't act right, I'm going to use this laser and bury everybody under the ice cap. Catchlove catches Araxa, and he holds a knife to her throat or a gun to her head or something, and he threatens to kill her if they don't back off and let him go. He said, the ship above is fixed and we getting out of here. So he backs up to the elevator, but Godzaker's on the elevator and he kills Catchlove. And then he tells Araxa to kill him. In a time of war, he was a coward and he ran. He deserted his unit and he doesn't deserve to live. And she's impressed that he's willing to sacrifice his life for the other people. She's impressed that he killed Catchlove to save her. So she said, all right, well, I'll grant your request. You asked me to kill you? Absolutely. It's just not going to be today. So she agrees to let Bill, Nardo, and the Doctor go. And they go upstairs with Godzaker. They go to the surface. And that's when they formulate the rocks to make God Saves the Queen, to let people know Britain was here first. You know that I love my quotes, and I have two. The first one's by Anne Perry, and she says, people lie to cover their mistakes, and they make even worse ones to cover their lies. The second quote is by Steve Maraboli, and it looks like it comes from Mama Zara. And she says, it takes so much energy to lie. I wish people could grab the sense of freedom and liberation that comes from being honest and genuine. I'm going to call this particular media therapy deep dive Lie Wrapped in Truth. There are a lot of things that I could have latched on into this episode to do a deep dive on, but I was really more interested in Friday, the ice warrior who crashed on Earth, and the lie that he told. In his mind, he was telling a lie for a good reason. I'm going to lie to these people. I see their greed. I see what they want. So I'm going to pseudo give them what they want to get me what I want. But I'm not going to tell them the whole reason. The ice warriors are that warriors. They don't play. They're about conquest. They love to fight. He just wanted to get home. But he needed these humans to help him get home. So he played upon their weakness, their greed, and lied to them to get home. He just didn't tell them the whole reason why he wanted to go home. You know, people lie for a variety of reasons. They lie to avoid punishment, to protect themselves or other people, sometimes to maintain their privacy. Sometimes it's to gain power or maybe just impress others. Nothing hurts more than being lied to, especially by people whose opinion you trust, people who you love. Now, if these are people that you love and they claim to love you, you got to figure, why would they lie to you? Is it to protect you, or is it to protect themselves? Sometimes you don't want people to think of you differently. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why they lie. Could it be a simple misunderstanding that's gotten blown way out of proportion? Could be. Or maybe you're dealing with people who lack real empathy, sociopathic tendencies. You know, when people say they love you, those are just words. And a lot of us, we hang in a balance on those words. Can't wait to hear someone tell us those words, because that'll make everything right. Everything will go away. And life doesn't work like that. A lot of people use those words just to manipulate you. So how do you know when the words are genuine? Especially from people who you expect. The expectation is they should be genuine. From family, loved ones, people close to you. And the fact of the matter is, it really doesn't matter who it is. Because at the end of the day, your actions speak more than words ever could for you. Now, how do you detect? How do you know when someone's lying to you? You have to love the truth. The more that you are invested in the truth, the better you will be able to discern what is true and what isn't. You can't expect people to tell you the truth if you're not very good at telling the truth yourself. And especially if you're susceptible to hearing some lies and some bullshit. You have to love the truth and honesty. You know, a lot of times they tell you that when people lie to you, to focus on their body language. Their body language speaks to you. But sometimes it's not their body language, especially if you're around an accomplished liar, pathological, professional. So then you have to focus on the words. Do you know if they're stressed because they're telling you a lie? There's some people so good will look you right in the face and tell you a boldfish lie and won't even blink, won't falter, won't sweat, heart won't palpitate, nothing. And quite frankly, those people are dangerous. If you're asking them questions in the conversation. They're taking too long to come up with answers. Focus on what they say. And that's if you have an inkling that they may be lying to you. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why lie about this? You have to tell people that you value honesty. Because if they have a shred of dignity, a shred of integrity, then the fact that they're lying to you, and you know that they're lying, hopefully, their conscience will start to eat at them because they know how disappointed that you may be, or even that could be the end of whatever relationship you have. Ask open-ended questions and really observe them when they're giving you the details. Question what you hear. Sometimes it is a simple answer. Sometimes things are misunderstood, misconstrued. Sometimes people are just assholes and they're filthy liars. When people are lying to you, don't let on that you know that they're lying. You have to put the pieces together. Now, this is not the same thing as you create a narrative in your head, and it doesn't matter what's said, it doesn't matter what can be proved. You have a narrative, and you're good with that. This is the way I think it happened, that's what I'm going to go with. You need to watch for their patterns. They'll have patterns of dishonesty. Watch. Just watch them. Now, one thing that I've suffered from is that people will call me a liar. No proof, no facts. You've made up a narrative, but you called me a liar. And the thing is, especially the more often you do that, that's hard to walk back. It's not even something that makes sense to do unless you're insensitive. You don't give a damn about people's feelings. That's possible. The thing is, if you look at timelines, you look at circumstances, a lot of stuff can be explained. Maybe some of it can, or maybe you're not that interested. You know, and maybe that's ways to cut those emotions off. You continue to put a wedge somewhere where it doesn't even need to be one. And that's fine too. I have people in my family, a lot of people on both sides of my family are going through a lot of strife and stuff just behind this. Betrayal, lies, family secrets. And it's ugly. And it's one of those things that, yeah, we probably should get it out and talk about it. But who does that really benefit? Because if the 2, 3, whatever people that are involved in it, if they're not going to get it out and talk about it and flesh it out, then how does that help the rest of the family by talking about it? Because then it just becomes gossip, it becomes the rumor mill. But at the same token, how do you break generational curses? How do you stop this in your family? How do you stop this with your immediate family? Because you can say, you know, no one over here lies, no one over here cusses. We all do what's right at all times, and that would make you a liar. No, you don't. You know, the thing is, when you are dishonest with people, it's hard to come back from being dishonest on something that's was a simple misunderstanding, a unthought out lie. Because now you've broken their trust. But it's even worse when you have people that are close to you that intentionally lie to you. Friedrich Nietzsche said the worst part about discovering a lie is not the lie itself. It's the fact that it destroys your trust in a liar. Trust can be destroyed so quickly, something that took a lifetime to build and can be destroyed in seconds. And you may never get a chance to establish it again. Now, can people lie to you and you forgive and maybe don't forget? But can you forgive and move on? Absolutely. But that depends on where it is in your spirit. Does this person even have a sincere heart? Do they even have real remorse? Can you see that they messed up and they're sorry? Or are they just sorry? You know, what's the saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, forget the peace sign, low. Y'all know, J. Cole, you know it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. Fool me 3 times, the peace sign, load the chopper, let it rain on you. You know how it go. Most people don't set out to be bad or hurtful. Most of them don't even see themselves as liars. And most of them don't want to change the relationships with people that they've lied to or people they've hurt. So when you ask yourself about the intent that a person has, remember, you may have, dropped a little shade. You may have told a fib or two yourself. It all depends on the relationship you have with that person. And question I ask myself often, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is this relationship worth saving? Do I even want to save it? If I do, is the person sincere? Can they change? Will they change? You gotta ask yourself that. This is Rakai Steve, new from the Ville. Make sure to like, comment, leave some comments on this. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Let me know what you thought about any issues you having with some liars in your family, even if that person may be you. Mm-hmm. Share this as much as possible. And if for whatever reason you haven't subscribed yet, I get it. But make sure that you subscribe as soon as possible. Something may resonate with you. It's all about this. It's even better when it's about this.